Hi, my name is Caitlin, and I'm a doctoral occupational therapy student at Boston University. As part of my doctoral capstone project, I have decided to make a series of videos aimed to help parents of children who could benefit from occupational therapy services. These videos are meant to help parents learn about occupational therapy for their child and help them navigate the process of occupational therapy after their child begins to receive services. I hope you find these videos helpful. In this video, I will go over an Individualized Family Service Plan, called an IFSP for short, and an Individualized Education Program, called an IEP for short. Two important documents you might encounter if your child has a disability is an Individualized Family Service Plan, called an IFSP for short, and an Individualized Education Program, called an IEP for short. These are two separate documents that help support your child with disabilities at different points in their life. The United States government has a law called the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, also called IDEA for short, that was created to make sure that eligible children with disabilities are able to receive a free, appropriate public education and related services. There are two parts to this law, Part C and Part B. IDEA Part C services infants and toddlers with disabilities from birth through age 2 years and 11 months, and provides them and their families with early intervention services, such as occupational therapy, physical therapy, and speech-language therapy. IDEA Part B services children and youth aged 3 years through 21 years old, and ensures they receive special education and other related services. The most important difference to note between IDEA Part C and IDEA Part B is that Part C is for infants and toddlers from birth through age 2 years and 11 months, and IDEA Part B is for children and youth aged 3 years old through 21 years old. If your child has disabilities and is younger than 3 years old, then your child might receive an Individualized Family Service Plan, or an IFSP for short. This document is meant to guide the early intervention services that your child will receive. An IFSP views the child's family as a very important part that greatly impacts a child's development. As a result, an IFSP considers both the needs of the child and the family. I will now show you an example of an IFSP, but please note, the IFSP form for your state could look different, but will still have the same broad topics and cover the same information. Additionally, all information contained in this sample IFSP is fabricated for the sake of this video and does not contain any personal information from a real individual. All IFSPs must include information on the following 11 topics. Child personal information. This includes the child's name and birthday and information on whoever is in charge of caring for the child, such as their parent, foster parent, legal guardian, or another family member. The IFSP might also ask for the child's primary healthcare provider and what school district the child might be entering. Child's present levels of functioning and need in the areas of physical, cognitive, communication, social/emotional, and adaptive development. An example of this is your child's ability to crawl or talk or feed themselves. You might also include here what your child's likes and dislikes are. For example, this child here likes to play with cars and line them up. The IFSP might also ask if your child has had any other previous evaluations, such as an occupational therapy evaluation or a physical therapy evaluation. Family information. This can include information about other family members who live in the house, concerns of the family about the child, or what the family enjoys doing with the child. You can see that the child here goes to the park with his family and also visits his grandmother and aunt a lot. Steps to take when it is time for the child to transition out of early intervention. Once your child turns 3, it will be time for them to transition to IDEA Part B, where they will receive an Individualized Education Program, or IEP for short. I will talk more about this process and an IEP in the next part of this video. Expected outcomes or results from early intervention services. Here you can see that this child's mother would like for him to stop hitting other children and be able to attend daycare. This IFSP lists how this goal will be reached, such as improving this child's ability to self-regulate his behaviors. This IFSP also gives strategies to this child's parents in order to help support his goal. Specific early intervention services the child will receive. Examples of services your child could receive are occupational therapy, physical therapy, and speech-language therapy. Natural environment where the child will receive services. Examples of natural environments are the home or somewhere in the community like a daycare center. If a child cannot receive services in their natural environment, an explanation for why has to be provided. When and where the child will receive services. Again, will this be in the child's home or at their daycare? Number of days or sessions for the services. For example, this child here will receive occupational therapy once a week for 1 hour. Who will pay for the services? Here you will list if it is Medicaid who is paying or other insurances. Who the service coordinator is. This is the person who will oversee and keep track of the IFSP and make sure that the child is receiving the services outlined in the document. As you can see here, other members on the IFSP team are the child's mother and the child's occupational therapist and physical therapist. This IFSP also has a section for notes for when the IFSP goals and outcomes are reviewed and the child's progress towards their goals are evaluated. This can be thought of as a check-in point. Something very important to remember when completing an IFSP for your child is informed consent. Informed consent means that your child's IFSP must be fully explained to you and you have to be considered an important contributor to the document. This means that your suggestions have to be listened to. If you are confused by anything on the IFSP, make sure you ask for further clarification and for things to be explained so that you are able to make confident decisions on behalf of your child. This is your right, so make sure you are fully informed about the supports being provided for your child before you sign any papers. As mentioned earlier, IDEA Part B provides special education services and other services to children and youth with disabilities from 3 years old to 21. At this point, your child will receive an Individualized Education Program, or called an IEP for short. If your child had an IFSP, then a transition plan will be determined to ensure your child has an IEP in place. An IEP is similar to an IFSP because they both outline a plan for the supports your child will receive. However, an IEP focuses on education and the supports and services your child will receive in school. An IEP meeting will take place with you and other individuals involved in the IEP process, such as a representative of the school system, a school psychologist, the student's special education teacher, and the student's therapist, such as their occupational therapist. Each state has their own IEP form, but they all must contain the same information as required by IDEA Part B. I will now show you an example of an IEP for Georgia and briefly go over what the various contents are for each section. Present level of academic achievement and functional performance. This section might include previous grades that the student has received in various school subjects, or some of the student's strengths and weaknesses within the classroom. Consideration of special factors. These special factors include disabilities that might affect a student's ability to communicate, such as being deaf or hard of hearing, or their ability to see or hear. Transition plan. A plan must be created for when the student graduates from school. Annual goals. These are goals that can be measured and include both academic and functional goals, such as social engagement with classmates. How the student's progress towards annual goals will be measured. Periodic progress reports will be provided, similar to check-in points for the student's progress. What special education and related services and supplementary aids and services need to be provided to the student? For example, a student might need a speech-to-text technology or extended time on test. Program modifications or supports for school personnel. For example, training to teachers might need to be provided for how to operate speech-to-text technology. Individual accommodations for the student that are needed to measure academic achievement and functional performance of the child on state and district-wide assessments. This means any accommodations that the student might need on statewide tests, or if the student needs to take a different test. An explanation of the extent, if any, to which the child will not participate with peers without disabilities in the regular classroom and/or in non-academic and extracurricular activities. The expected date for when the services will start, and the expected frequency, location, and duration of the services and modifications. As with the IFSP, it is very important that you as the parent receive full consent before signing the IEP. You have a right to be listened to and fully understand the services and supports your child will be receiving before signing any papers. If you are confused about anything, make sure you ask for additional explanation. Once again, IFSPs and IEPs are two documents that you might encounter if your child has a disability. Hopefully this video helped you understand a little bit more about these documents. If you would like additional information, please click on the links in the description section of this video. Also, don't forget to check out my other videos to learn more about what occupational therapy is and how it can help your child, how to understand your child's evaluation and assessment reports, how to keep your child's medical documents organized, and other helpful resources as you navigate occupational therapy services for your child. Thank you for watching!